Today, we're diving into the story of a failed coup in Burkina Faso. But this wasn't just any coup. Instead of cheers in the street, it sparked massive public anger. We're going to break down why this one was so different and what it tells us about what's happening in West Africa right now. Okay, so let's get right into the big puzzle here. Sometimes when a coup happens, people actually celebrate. So the big question is, why this time? Why did a failed attempt to seize power lead to people flooding the streets in anger, not celebration? To really get it, we've got to start with what made this whole situation so different. And it all begins with a reaction on the ground. All right, so here's the key difference. On one hand, you often see military takeovers getting some public support, right? People are fed up with bad leadership. But in Burkina Faso, when plotters tried to oust Ibrahim Traoré, it was the exact opposite. We saw widespread anger and people protesting against the coup. And this quote really just nails it. According to the source material, one analyst put it perfectly. It is not about people loving coup d'etats. People are tired of bad leadership. So this wasn't about a sudden love for military rule. It was basically a vote of confidence in their current guy and a huge rejection of anyone trying to mess with that. So the coup fails. Now what? Well, the story shifts and the investigation kicks into high gear, leading to something you don't see every day: the plotters' confessions. The government didn't just sweep this under the rug. Oh no, they went very public with their investigation, which got everyone asking the same thing: who was really behind this whole plot? And when they started making arrests, the details that came out were pretty wild. They picked up several key people, including a captain from a military academy, a woman who was supposedly the money courier, handing out cash, and even a saboteur whose job was to destroy the military's drone base. I mean, taking that out would have seriously crippled their defenses. And this is where the story gets really, really interesting. Instead of just a press release, they brought the accused out on state television to confess, live, for the entire country to watch. Imagine turning on your TV and seeing that. According to the source, these plotters were on screen pleading for forgiveness, saying things like they don't know what came over them. It was a powerful move and a very clear strategy by the government to completely discredit the whole attempt. But here's the kicker. Those confessions on TV, they didn't just point to a few disgruntled people inside the country. They pointed to something way, way bigger: a possible international conspiracy. So suddenly, the story gets a lot more complicated. This wasn't just about a few rogue soldiers anymore. The confessions hinted at a network that stretched way beyond Burkina Faso's borders. And you have to wonder, right? Where does this trail actually lead? Well, according to the confessions, all roads led to one guy, Damiba. Now, if that name sounds familiar, it's because he's the former leader of Burkina Faso, the very guy that Traoré kicked out. The plotters claimed he was the mastermind behind this new coup, pulling the strings from exile. So let's break down how this whole alleged conspiracy was supposed to work. It's like something out of a spy thriller. The confessions claimed the money came from the Ivory Coast. The secret planning meetings? They happened in Togo. And Damiba was the alleged mastermind tying this whole network together from the outside. And this is where they really drop a bombshell. This accusation was aimed squarely at the leadership of Togo. The source quoted someone saying, "This man, Damiba, cannot be doing this thing in Togo without the knowledge of the leader." That's not just a suggestion, that's a direct shot, implying the highest levels of government next door were involved. So you can imagine an accusation like that is going to cause some problems. And that's exactly what happened. It set up this huge diplomatic showdown, which the source material basically calls a test of friendship. But what's really fascinating here is that the pressure wasn't just coming from politicians. Nope. The youth of Burkina Faso, the young people, they reportedly got together and issued their own direct ultimatum to the president of Togo. And they laid it out there super clear. It was a three-part deal. First, the accusation. Hey, you're hiding the guy who tried to overthrow our government. Second, the demand. Send him back here to face charges. And finally, the test. How you answer this is going to show us, once and for all, if you're a friend or an enemy. But to really understand what's going on here, you have to zoom out. This isn't just about one failed coup in one country. It's being seen as something much bigger, a real warning from history. The whole idea here is that if you look back at history, especially in Africa, you see this painful story play out over and over again. Revolutionary leaders often get betrayed by the very people and the very nations they thought were their friends. I mean, think about it. You had Thomas Sankara, a legendary leader from Burkina Faso's past, allegedly betrayed by his best friend. You had Muammar Gaddafi in Libya, allegedly betrayed by his international allies. The source is basically saying what's happening right now, it's just the latest chapter in this long, dangerous story of betrayal. So after looking at all this history, what's the takeaway? Well, it's pretty stark. The advice that comes out of it is simple and honestly kind of chilling. Nobody can be trusted. And that really leaves us with this huge, lingering question, doesn't it? If you're a revolutionary leader and you're trying to build something new for your country, but you're surrounded by powerful interests at home and abroad, who can you actually trust? The answer to that could be the difference between success and failure, or even life and death.